Look at that, it's a ScrawlrBox. Hello and welcome back to Jenna Gets Creative. This is the February 2022 ScrawlrBox. It barely survived the mail, as you can see. And this is the last actual official ScrawlrBox you're going to see on this channel for I don't know how long, because I only resubscribed for 3 months. I do not plan to resubscribe again to these guys or any other company for quite some time. I don't need the supplies, and I need to save the money. So anyway, let's open this one up. We'll go through it, and I will talk more at ya in just a sec. There's the zine. I'm not going to open it and flip through it just yet. I heard you guys yell at me last time. Here is the piece for this month. Well, last month. Here's the piece for February. The featured artist is Katie Smith. There's all of Katie's socials and website if you want to pause and go check that out. Very pretty. I see we will be doing something to do with watercolor. This is the Aquapad from Clairefontaine. Interesting, we have had, it's specifically the Goldline one. I believe Goldline is more of a student grade. Not entirely sure. We have had watercolor from Clairefontaine, both branded Clairefontaine and pretending it isn't, from ScrawlrBox before. So this is 300 GSM, we have 10 sheets, it's A5, and it is 100% cellulose. That means it's a wood pulp paper. This is not a cotton paper. So yes, it's a student grade paper. Does seem very nice. Seems, I would almost say heavier than 300 GSM. We'll see how it performs. And the actual supplies. Fizzy rolls. Cool. So I'm guessing that this is going to be similar to sweet tarts. I know the non-sour, non-fizzing kind is called Smarties in the USA. The rest of the world calls them Rockets, and we have a different candy called Smarties that's similar to M&M's. Oh no, that's not mine. Okay, we get a jelly roll, a size 8, so that's the medium point, white jelly roll by Sakura. There's the sticker and the item card. The challenge is Between the Reef, and we have a Derwent palette. Pastels. Ooh, nice. This one actually sent a cap. Years ago when I was subscribed back in like 2018, 2019, somewhere around there, they sent the Inktense pans set 1, and I got a travel brush with the brush head, but I never got a cap on it. So that's nice to see that I finally got a cap on it. And it does appear to be exactly the same case, but this is not going to be Inktense paint. This is going to be traditional watercolor. There we go, there's that cute little brush. It is a round. It's somewhere around, I'd say like a 5, 4 or 5, 5. We're gonna say 5, round 5. I'm excited to swatch this out. Here's that menu card. In the no-box art boxes I've been doing recently, I really like having the research already done when I talk to you, so I'm actually gonna pause before I start swatching and do that research so that I can really comment on what these are worth. Enjoy a quick flip through the zine before I start swatching. You are going to see my work in time-lapse now, and I'm going to tell you about what's in the box, what it costs, all that kind of stuff. As per usual with all of my art box videos, I'm going to do a whole bunch of calculations in the description box down below. ScrawlrBox is based in the UK, so they have provided RRPs. I believe that means recommended retail price, and that is of course in pounds sterling. I have that converted to US dollars and Canadian dollars. I have gone ahead and done some research and tried to find out what these items actually cost if you were to go buy them in the wild at major online retailers in those 3 regions. So we have an RRP total for the box, we have a real world total for the box. I have done a little simplification, calculated what the difference is in those 3 currency regions. A ScrawlrBox subscription starts at £16.95 per box per month, so if you subscribe month to month or only get one at a time, that's what you're paying. If you buy the past boxes, you're going to pay an even £17 plus shipping. Shipping is free within the UK, and then it's different everywhere else depending on what country you're in. As a Canadian, I pay £7 to get it here, so we're going to assume that Americans are also paying £7 per box. That's the shipping cost I am using in my calculations. If you prepay 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, a whole year, it does get a little bit cheaper. ScrawlrBox actually raised their prices last year. It used to start at £15 per box, and it got down low enough that if you prepaid 12 months, it was actually like getting 12 for the price of 11, like your 12th box was free. The deal doesn't get that great anymore. Like, full price is $16.95, and all the way down at subscribing for a year at once, you're paying $16.25 per box. You're saving 70 cents per box. That's not going to add up to a whole box, I can tell you that right now. It also used to be free in the UK and £5 everywhere else for shipping. I understand Brexit made it more expensive, but that's a big factor in why I'm not staying subscribed. Anyway, that's too much rambling. I'm going to read you the menu card. The information that's in the zine on this supplies page is basically snippets from the card, so we'll just read that. Derwent Pastel Shades Paint Pan Set. RRP is £29.99. These gouache-style pigment paints are uniquely soft and light formulated pastel shades. These gentle colors are perfect for romantic washes and dreamy blends, but they can also be layered for a brighter finish without dissolving any previously dried layers. This means you can build up thick, opaque layers to create a more dramatic, bright, and matte finish. So the possibilities with this palette are endless. This compact set of 12 pastel paints, a mini water brush, 5 mixing palettes, and a sponge to clean your supplies. According to the listing on Jackson's Art Supplies, which is the first place I check all the time for prices in the UK, they are specifically calling this Derwent Inktense Paint Pan Pastel Shades set of 12. So this is the Inktense formula. You also kind of get that hint where it says that you can layer over dried layers and it's not going to budge. That is an Inktense feature. Inktense is, as the name implies, ink, and once it's dry, it's permanent. I will note that Jackson says the RRP is $26.99, not $29.99. Either way, Jackson's is selling it for $22. Blick is selling it for $26.50 US. That RRP on the card converts to almost $40 US, so that is a steep discount. For Canadians, the RRP on the card converts to almost $50 Canadian, and if you go to above ground, you can get it for $39.99 Canadian. So I was convinced that this box was not actually going to be a good deal when you do the real-world research, but actually it still is, because this paint pan set is worth so much more than what you're paying for the box. I'll get to that in a sec. Next item is Sakura White Jelly Roll Pen. RRP is £2.15. This Sakura Jelly Roll Pen features a specialized ink that is designed not to feather, smear, or bleed through most papers. The water-based gel ink will offer a consistent flow of light-fast ink that is also fade-resistant and waterproof, so it's great for pairing with your wet medium creations. This brilliant white pen will be perfect for adding that essential pop of highlight or focal features to your pastel creations. Now, I have heard from other people that they couldn't get this pen to work on top of the painting, and I do find that Sakura pens at the smaller sizes, the fine and the medium, they really aren't that great at layering on top of other things. I do prefer the 10, the bold, so I may cheat slightly and swap out for a bigger nib of the same pen. And this one, again, pretty much anywhere you're buying art supplies, you're going to be able to find this, and it's going to be cheaper than RRP. Finally, Goldline 300 GSM A5 Aquapad. RRP is £3.49. These pads are a brand new addition to the Clairefontaine line, with paper that is 100% cellulose, medium fine grain watercolor paper, perfect for all of your water-based medium exploration. It is acid-free paper with a sturdy quality and a natural off-white color that is obtained without the use of optical brightener. The grain on this paper is stronger on one side to ensure maximum absorption and smooth on the back, so it's intended for one-sided use. I tried to find Clairefontaine Goldline Aquapad anywhere out there, any of the shops I normally check, and I couldn't. It does say it's new, and I believe them, but Jackson's does sell Goldline pads, and they don't have this one. I know looking at other Goldline pads and other Clairefontaine pads, they normally don't sell them in 10 sheets, they normally sell them in 15 or more. So this is a custom pad made for ScrawlrBox. No matter whether this is that new or not, you're not going to be able to find this exact pad anywhere else. So we are taking that £3.49, and just that is the value in the box in both the RRP total and the real world total, because we can't replace it. RRP total for the box is £35.63. That converts to $47.04 US and $58.94 Canadian. If you go looking to buy these at other shops in your region, you are going to save £8.44, $14.64 US, or $11.49 Canadian. Those are huge differences, and yet somehow you are still getting a good deal no matter where you're subscribing from or how long you're subscribing for. The lowest savings is for customers in the USA. When we look at the real world total, not the RRP total, you are saving 78 cents US after subscription and shipping costs. The best savings is obviously going to be all the way down at the 1-year subscription, people prepaying 12 months. UK customers, even compared to real world discounted shopping, you are still saving nearly £11, and Canadians, you are still saving $8.99 Canadian dollars. And Americans, you almost got to 2. You are saving $1.71. I guess that's because Blick is so awesome and you guys get really great deals on art supplies that I am so jealous of. Anyway, Jenna of the past here is going to actually go make the piece that you're probably watching by now, and I will be back at you again with my final thoughts in 3, 2, 1. Alrighty folks, I have finished, you're still watching it, let's give my opinions on the piece, on the supplies, all that kind of stuff. So you are going to see me do some cheating if you haven't already. First of all, you are going to see me pull out another pad of paper to test the paints on a different pad of paper. I pulled out the ScrawlrBox branded A5 watercolor paper from quite a while ago. I believe that this is also a Clairefontaine watercolor paper. I believe that it is the Etival private labeled for ScrawlrBox. Why I pulled it out was because I noticed that there was a lot of texture showing through, especially where the paint was really wet. And it's making a gray muddy color. It reminds me of using children's quality wax crayons on really textured paper. I just really was not liking that look, and it's not going away as the paint dries. So I wanted to test the paint on a different piece of paper. I used it very wet, I blended together, I layered back over it while it was still wet, and I'm not getting that effect on the other paper. So what I'm not liking in this piece is 100% the fault of the paper. This type of paint does not work well on cellulose paper. It does need to have some cotton content to it, which the Etival does. The Etival, I believe, is a mix. The other cheating you're going to see me do, I decided that this needed some contrast. This pastel set does not have a whole lot of contrasting potential, so I did pull out an Inktense pencil. This is exactly what's in the pan set, except a different color. I am using 2200 ink black, and I just did very minimal details on the fish himself. I also reached for my Posca PC1MR, the fine point white Posca pen, just because, as predicted by everybody complaining about this box in the ScrawlrBox group, the Sakura Jelly Roll does not go over this paint at all, and I was afraid of ruining my good pen, so I went with something I knew would work over top of it. A Posca is always going to work over top of it because this is acrylic ink rather than the water-based gel ink that is a lot more likely to just kind of mix with the paint underneath and potentially go back up into the jelly roll and gum things up. I decided to go with a children's storybook illustration style, very colorful tropical fish and a whole bunch of very colorful bubbles underwater where I could just really play with the color, put a lot of color in the water, different color on the bubbles. I do like how the bubbles turned out in the end, particularly once I finally got highlights on them, minus the muddy paper texture that's showing through in those bubbles. I was able to cover most of that texture in the fish with enough layers of the paint, but the bubbles, since I was doing them very, very wet and blending very, very wet, I was not able to cover the texture that showed up when I did the initial water washing. Water double meaning there. I used a lot of water, but I was painting water? Confusing. My ultimate thought on this paint set, this is definitely the Inktense formulation, regardless of whether or not they're calling it Inktense in the North American market. It is Inktense in the UK market. I know that because that's how Jackson's has it listed on their website, as I mentioned earlier. Interestingly, I did try to find these colors in my Inktense pencil set so that I could compare the colors. These colors don't exist in the 72 Inktense pencils, so these are new colors in the Inktense line, which does make me wonder whether or not the Inktense line is going to expand beyond 72 colors and possibly get more pastel tones. That would be really nice. That is something the Inktense has always lacked. I can see myself using this palette along with the Inktense pencils, along with the other Inktense palette, maybe in conjunction with less traditional water-based watercolor type mediums like inks. This is certainly not going to be my go-to. It's certainly not going to be something that I mix with traditional watercolors. Actually, you know, it would probably go really well with Gansai Tambi. Yeah, I should try that. If you've tried the Derwent Pastel paint set, what do you think of it? Do you like them? Have you also tried Inktense, and do you agree with me that it's definitely the same paint? Why or why not? If you got this ScrawlrBox, what did you think of it? What do you think of the paper? Are you disappointed with the paper? Did you get the same very strange, gray, muddy texture coming through in your work? I would be really curious to know that. I didn't see that happening on my swatching sheet, but of course I didn't do as much water and as much scrubbing and as much layering on that. I'm going to be marking this pad as a test pad only and using it to test colors because I don't want another piece to turn out this way. It's ugly. The texture is ugly. I'm sure there are cases you could try to make that texture work in your favor, but I wasn't trying to make it work in my favor. It's also, you can really see how this paper was made. The texture showing up is all in lines, and where I used the paper in landscape, these lines are all very vertical in landscape, and that really doesn't work with water that should have horizontal texture if it's got any texture visible. I don't know. It might be interesting in like a tea stain type piece, but not for this kind of work, and I don't want to risk accidentally doing this again, so yeah. I'm flagging this pad for myself to not use in finished pieces ever again. Do I think this box was worth it? I think that if the pan set is not something that's easily accessible to you, and it is something you're interested in trying, I do think it's worth getting this box just to get your hands on the paints. Obviously, if it weren't for the paints, I would be saying that it's not worth it because this paper is terrible and Sakura jelly rolls are everywhere. If you're looking for more to watch, I've got some suggestions up on the left side of the screen now. Don't forget to like, comment, maybe even subscribe, and if you like living life creatively, whatever that means to you, I'd love to have you along for the ride. Bye guys!